What's going on, everybody? Hemrock mentioned recently that he came across RPG Maker 2003 in his collection, and he was wondering, he was thinking, looking at videos and thinking about maybe poking around with it a little bit. I love all the RPG makers. They're wonderful. 2003 I played with quite a bit pre-Steam. This is back in the Don Miguel era. So I haven't done much with it on Steam. You can see it only has 9 minutes in. But you gotta believe me when I tell you more than that has been done on the older version. So what I want to do here is I'm gonna try and build a game from scratch just so we can hang out and mess with RPG Maker 2003. But I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be a very generic game in presentation. I'm going to use the pre-made assets and things like that. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because this is more like making an adventure in Dungeons and Dragons rather than trying to make a brand new RPG that reinvents the wheels. It would just still be a dungeon. There'll be a town, a few simple things. We'll call it Awesome Quest. Oh. That is the game title. And the folder name will be A Quest. Alright. Oh boy. This is significantly different from the later versions of RPG Maker. Even when I'm slumming it in RPG Maker, I like to use the older ones, but I've been using XP lately. And I haven't messed with this in a long time. Alright, so let's focus down here on the map list for just a second. What it gives you to start with traditionally always ends up being a world map for me. But in every RPG Maker game I have ever worked on, at least as far back as I can remember, I've always made a debug room. Okay, little thing here, and we put it on the top. There we go. So what do we do with the debug room? Well, we want to make the tile set interior. There is a generate dungeon button. I don't remember that. I didn't think that was added until later. Pretty cool. Okay, so it is interior. We're making a room where, that's right, different pages. Okay, yeah. We're making a room where settings can be played with, and I can put triggers and things like that that are never viewed by the average player. And in order to get into this room, oh man, I haven't done this in a long time. In order to get into this room, you have to use some sort of switch that only I'll know about, or everyone will know about because this is happening on YouTube. Okay, give me a second here. Something in my head is missing. How did I do this in the old days? Okay, now I remember. We would do, boom, make it all the wall, and then we would take like some sort of floor texture like this. We'll see if we use the square tool. Okay, like that. And sure, it doesn't look great, but then you can take the wall, add one more layer, add one additional layer on top of that. Then grab your pencil. You can add a couple of shadows here. Boom. You have a room of some kind. There. Now, a lot of this is done. I mean, this kind of thing is typically done for you in later versions, but this wasn't how I got started. This was how I had to learn the tools. So back in the early days, this is, you did it by hand. That's just how it was. So here again, this is not something that'll ever be messed with by the end user, but all right. So we'll go into okay, and we're going to create some sort of, it'll be a priest. Okay, and he will explain that work began on December 6th, 2021 at 9:30 12:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. CF. All right. So as of right now, there's nothing here, and this is going to stay this way. That is good enough. So let's make ourselves a little world map. Okay. It's so weird because I used to, when I played this previously, it was more like that, because we had these small resolution monitors. This is pretty flat screen monitors. This is when we had these great big giant CRT boxes. And that's, I think, the way these older RPG makers look the best. Oops. No, so let's see. So we need to draw a little world map. But again, this is going to be a simple game, so we don't want to overdo it. All right, we'll just make a little island here. Islands are a favored landmass type because it's clearly understood to the player, where the bounds are. You can make it so that it's the mainland, but then you got to put a little more focus on, all right, we're going to put a mountain range here, and there's going to be a lake here, and all kinds of stuff. And you can do it, and if you put in that extra effort, ultimately what you come up with does, in fact, look better than an island. But again, we're speedrunning RPG Maker right now. We're just, we're trying to do like a simple Dungeons & Dragons type game with really only a couple of locations. All right, so to set this up, there you go. We'll have a little island. There's a small area for a bridge, and there will be a second island over here, which you won't be able to get to right away. And that means I get to use my favorite stupid RPG Maker trope. That means that the bridge will be down. That's something that my friend did in his RPG, 25 years ago or whenever it was. There was a bridge and that it had been closed. And the idea was later in the game it would reopen, and so we did that for some reason in every single game we made. All right, so let's put some features, some mountains here. There have to be mountains in order for there to be some sort of cave, right? That makes sense. That's not like a crazy person thing to say, is it? And then we'll have some woods over on this side, Hey man, your city is different. You have a different lifestyle or whatever. That makes me uncomfortable. So we don't like your side of town, man. All right, so here's a neat trick. If you make, here we go, a desert that sticks out really awkwardly, and then you get the selection tool. Boom. Nope. Oh, wait, you have to have water selected, I think, when you do that. Boom. There you go. There you go. And we'll get the pencil. There you go. And I've got a beach. There's a beach now. And we're just going to kind of randomly put in some locations, because really what we need is a couple of towns, maybe a castle, although I don't want to use one of these great big ones because that that becomes the centerpiece. I think that clearly it dominates the map, having something like that. Yeah, we're gonna put the tall tower will be over here on this thing. And I think that looks good. Anything else? Oh yeah. If we got a beach, we might as well put a palm tree or two on there, right? Yeah, there we go. Just that one. That looks good. And palm tree here, ice in the water up here. No, that doesn't work. I like it. I think more work could be done on this for sure. But we have a little setting that we can start planning a game on. My only gripe, actually, let me change a couple small things. Let's move this away from, there we go. So it's kind of centered a little bit. I see a town where you would start. I see a castle where we could make castle type things. I see another village across the area. I need to have a place where there can be some, sort of dungeons or things. So we're gonna make a mausoleum here. What else can we do? What else can be like a dungeon item? Actually, now that I think about it, what map set is this using? Yeah, he's using basic. Okay, so it's not like it's accidentally using the facade. Is it? Whatever. I find it weird that I have access to like the town items while I'm drawing the world map. That to me usually indicates that I'm somewhere along the line I picked the wrong chipset. But all the things I need seem to be here. Yeah, you know what? We're going to go with this. Something is going to have to be added on this side. There has to be another dungeon on this side somehow. But we can do that later, and it honestly doesn't have to be that well thought out. Oh, you know what? What was next to the mausoleum? There you go. Other thing. There you go. That'll end up being dungeon number 2. All right. And we're going to right click here. Start party position. And technically, we have game.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Look at that. Default graphics. Yes. I am games developer. Buy my game on Steam. It is $7.99. Ah, so loud. Everyone has a name already. To title. And the game.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
All right, cool. So we have our thing. We're gonna right click on the world map, map properties, world map. All right. So we know right off the bat, just from designing this world map, that I have a few different locations. So let's create town 1. Town 2. Nope. We don't want that to be. Oh, come on now. Don't freak out on me now, Mike. Town 1, town 2. Can we reorder them? Oh my gosh, it's freaking out just a little bit. I want town 2 to be on the bottom. Yeah, there we go. Nope. This is called... Oh, jeez. All right. Town 1. There we go. Debug room, world map, town 1. And world map will contain town 1. Yes. Now we got it. New map. Is it? Wait. Is that changing the properties of this map? It should be giving me a new one. New map. Yeah, okay, it was giving me a new one. Town 2. There we go. Dungeon 1. Nope. That was the mistake I made the first time. I am games developer. Right click, new map. Dungeon 1. Map properties. Dungeon 2. Nope. I did it again. Gosh. You know what's weird is I never did that back in the day. That is not something I used to do all the time. And believe me, when I make a mistake, I'm the first one to tell everybody about it. Dungeon 2. And we have new map. We have castle. And we have tower. Oh my gosh, I did it again. Oh, jeez. All right. World map. Man. New map. Tower. Okay. So, let's start by making Town 1. Town 1, Town 2, Castle, Tower, Dungeon 1, Dungeon 2. Oh, yes, I almost forgot the most important map. Bridge. There has to be a bridge. It can't be as simple as just a passable chip tile that you can just walk across. No, no, no. No, no, no. Mm-mm. You got to go into a map that shows a close-up of a bridge. That way you can talk to NPCs, and they can tell you the castle or the king has ordered it closed for now. The king has ordered the bridge closed until you complete Dungeon 1. Only then will the bridge be reopened, so it may gain access to the next village, better weapons, and Dungeon 2. Alright, Town 1. Here we go. Map properties. So you want to change the tile set because it requires different things. I'm going to make this exterior. And how big should I make it? It's kind of a lazy thing, in my opinion, to go with the default size because what it gives you by default is the size of the screen, okay? It fills up the entire play area that it gives you, but there's no scrolling left or right. So what you can do, I mean, it's a decent size if you're just trying to make a utilitarian area with some shops or whatever, but a good way to make it look nice without having to do a whole lot of extra work is just add a few extra tiles in either direction. Just enough so that the player, when they walk from the right side to the left side, they can see the scrolling take effect. And that makes it feel a lot bigger. Okay. So, here again, we're just doing a real quick thing. Don't have to overthink it. Let's just put some buildings out. And the way I build buildings, not so good. Alright, we're going to use the pencil. Boom. That's one. That's another. There has to be, okay, one here. Alright, and they're not just going to look like this, because that would be really terrible. They have to be sort of varied in size and shape. And we can accomplish that by right-clicking and messing with them somewhat. This is a little village. The houses shouldn't be too big, but at the same time, you know, we want them to be a little different from each other. All right. Should it have a regular roof like that? Is that too fancy schmancy for this type of place? This is what I would always use. So yeah, I'm gonna say that's, you know what, deal with it. that's what we like. Boom. There we go. This is the laziest of the lazy. This is truly like a problem. But you know what? That's okay. Here again, we're speed running. Okay, we're just trying to make a little area where you can play and have a good time, talk to some NPCs, get a quest, do what you got to do, and go about your day. And don't look at me. All right. Let's go to some of these layered objects we can put out. There's always got to be a little fenced off area that does nothing and goes nowhere. Every town has to have one. This is even true in like the Final Fantasy games for the PS1. all the rural villages have fenced areas that go nowhere and do nothing. It's just part of the way villages are made. Okay, there also has to be a tree somewhere, as if. Oh, this is what I like. You take the tree and you do the big one that takes 4 tiles, and you put it halfway in the picture, so that it appears as though there are more things in either direction. And then down here, next to this area, there will be some stacks of logs. Okay, what else do we have? Pub. And we have sword. And what else do we need? Maybe inn? No, we're going to change this. This will be the inn. This will be the pub. And the reason why is because this is a larger building. And so I can make it so that this is like where the town, like hunting guild is and things of that nature, so that, you know, where you go for quest. That's what that place is. That is the quest place. How does that look? Is that too off center? Yeah, I think that's a little off center. I think I liked it better the way it was. All right, here we go. Oh, you know what? The inn. That's where we can use that. That'll be there. We could put a door there, and even though it's tiny, it still kind of looks okay. Okay, so we have a little village map, and it doesn't look great, but you know what? It serves its purpose. So we need to have a clear path that goes in and out, because I don't want to put events all the way around the border that will make you leave the village. Not because I think it's going to be a pain, because it won't be. It's super easy to do that. But because when you're playing the game, if you want to walk over here, I don't want the player to arbitrarily be brought out of town without meaning to. I want it to be clear where the player has to go so that they don't have to guess. All right. Give me like a stone path. Stone path? This looks awful. Or does it? Maybe it doesn't look so bad. I don't know. I am game developer. Here we go. That looks really ornate for like a rural village in the middle of the wild. Let's try. Come on, these are default assets. We can make this work. We can make it work. How's that look for a path? Bad? Not the worst. Doesn't look great, but I think we could make that work. And how do we make it clear? And we'll make it clear that it's the way out of town by putting a signpost there. And the signpost, what does it say? Show text. Village 1. All right. Okay. Now we go back to the world map. Right. Show text. We're not going to worry about showing the text. Let's just make it real simple for now. Where's the teleport? See, this is the big thing that made it difficult for me to go from 2000 to 2003. And that was going through these tabs and finding where the things are that I need. Because they were changed around between the two significantly. Even this, like, from the version that I had of 2003, this looks different. I could be wrong about that, but I think this is a little different. So where I did this when I was younger, and the ADD was flared up even more. So I would just stare at these tabs and looking desperately for the thing I wanted it to do. And sometimes I would find it, and sometimes I wouldn't. And when I was younger, that was easier to me than learning to code. Now I'm not so sure. But I'm trying to make it teleport. So in the previous version, there was just a button that said teleport, and I have a feeling that might be gone. They might, yeah, transfer player. There we go. Transfer player to world map. So to town 1. So we want to go 1 square over the exit and make the person look up. All right. But we need to make this trigger at player touch so that when you walk up, boom, there it is. It happens the second you walk over it. All right. So that will take the person here. And then likewise, when you go here at player touch, transfer player back to the world map. Now, interestingly enough, I'm going to test this, but I think you can drop somebody right on the event and it will not trigger the next event. Like, logically, looking back on it, that should generate a loop where you're bouncing back and forth between the two. I don't think it actually does that, but let's try it.
Dun, 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 rig-a-dum-doo, yeah.
Woo! All right, here we are. Yeah, okay. And you can see this is a small little village, but because I made it big enough to scroll just a couple of squares in each direction, sure feels a lot bigger than it actually is, doesn't it? Oh, that's weird. I can walk under this one, but not the pub sign. What about the inside? Wow. That's funny. All right. Ah. Oh, gosh. End this game forever. Ugh. Shut down. Okay. So. Dungeon. All right. Right click. Map properties. I want to see how this works, because I don't have high hopes for this dungeon generation thing, but I want to try it anyway. Ceiling. Oh, look at this. It's just water. All right. Oh, sweet. And I can pick it out. What do I want the ceiling to be? Okay. Wall low? I guess it would be more of a cave, like since I'm using whatever. Let's go with it. Don't overthink it. Wall high. Okay. Floor A. Floor B. Floor C. Oh. Dirt. Okay. Obstacles. I don't know. That's fine. All right. So it generated me a little tiny dungeon. I like it though. It did something. So we need to make this a lot. If it's going to do the architecture for me, let's make it bigger. Let's generate a dungeon. Dungeon type, maze. Ah, look at that. Now, isn't that just a dungeon from the days of old? I don't think I'm liking these alternate floors, though. I think we can just take our pen. That's right, we have to go back to the basic layer. Right click to draw with that. And for the most part, we're just going to get rid of these. All right. This is actually really nice. This is looking good. Yeah, that's what I should have done. All right. Dungeon area. Of course, it's not perfect. You can see it's got some flaws. I'm just going to leave the rest of that in. I don't feel like blotting that out now. I'll do it later. The question is, where in this dungeon do you actually start and where do you end? It's not super important right now, but I would like to connect it to the rest of the world map because that to me feels like an important step. Once you've connected to the world map, then it's real, man. That's when you know you're really there. All right, so let's focus on this little area here. We are going to start by cleaning this one up just a little bit. We're going to make it go down one, and if we go to this portion, we have somewhere here, I think it's in the dungeon set, there's a way you can see, like, yeah, right here. There you go. That's how you can see that there's light outside. Look at that. And then we can just work this the same way. Player touch. Okay. Transfer player. That's going to take you back to the world map. That'll take you here outside the mausoleum. I don't know why it's like a nice mausoleum here, and then I have like a hell dungeon when you walk in it. But yeah, hey, yeah, that's what it is. Put the person facing downward. Yeah, okay. And we're going to do, later on, we're going to control which places you can enter where, but right now I'm just trying to get the locations made. Okay. Face up. And player touch. Actually, you know what? In the dungeon, is that player touch? Yeah, it is. Okay. So cool.
Oh, oh yeah!
All right, so according to my recording software, we've been running for 32 minutes. And in that 32 minutes, we've got this little village, which has nothing in it yet, but it does exist, which is pretty cool. And there is a sign that you can talk to, and I forgot to make it so that you just have to stand next to it. And we have this dungeon. Oh, wow, it didn't take me to the right place, did it? Or maybe it did. All right, so if you hold shift, is it control? If you hold control, you can walk through walls. But this only works when you're playing like from RPG Maker. If I make an executable and I start distributing it so people can try the game, and you load it up outside of RPG Maker, that feature is disabled. Oh wow, did it randomly generate something different again? I thought it would have just kept. That's weird. No, see, this looks the same to me. World map. Where does this go? Transfer player to dungeon 1. Yeah. Face up. All right. No, it's the same place. Let's try this one more time.
Oh yeah!
That just gets me in the mood. I don't know why it's doing that. I think it might be generating a new dungeon every time you walk in there, which I guess is kind of cool. Because I think if I knew how to utilize that properly, then you'd be able to make, sort of like a roguelike kind of thing. Let's get rid of that. Right click, map properties. Don't generate the dungeon. We've already done that. All right. Yes.
Do-do-do-do-do-scabba-do-do!
Yes, that was it. It was generating a new dungeon for me every single time. Oh, look at that. I'm taking damage. Where's my health? Oh, I got 400. Why do I have 400 hit points at level 1? Golly. All right. At least we have the location. All right. So in that time, I have messed with the. I created a world map. I created placeholders for all these locations, but I have a village, and I have a dungeon. So we're 35 minutes in. I'm gonna stop this now before it becomes too big to upload. But yeah, I have a little game, so I'm enjoying this. These old RPG makers, man. Doesn't matter if it feels a lot more antiquated. It's you can do good stuff with it. From the earliest RPG makers, there was tons of power. You could make things that are really cool. This is more than enough to tell a story, even if I'm not going to go out and get new assets. If I'm just going to use the default assets, I can still tell a story with this, which is great. Thanks for watching, and Hemrock, I hope you reinstall 2003 and have some fun with it, because I would very much like to do this again. All right, see you next time.